What is up, dudes? Lady dudes? Welcome back to Just Nuts. Have you guys ever seen a deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Archetype and just been like, what? So much potential, and it's just gone. Nothing. Like you did nothing. Because that's what this video today is about. Today I'm going through the 3 decks that I think more so than any other deck, and this is obviously personal preference and opinion, so keep that in mind. I'm going to hopefully have some discussion in the comments about what you guys think are the 3 decks that have been done the most dirty by Konami. And just when you look at those decks, you're like, you had so much potential and just nothing. You just blew it, and you did that deck so dirty because it's a deck that you think a lot of people could have liked and even still do like and still wish they get support, but it's just probably not going to happen because they're so bad. Konami would have to do so much to make them workable. So that's what today's video is about, and I don't think I want to waste too much time, so let's jump into these because I talk so much in these videos. But anyway, number 1, I have UAs. This is not in order or anything. These are just 3. Well, I guess they'll say number 3. I guess these will be more or less in order. First, I have UAs. So first things first is that UAs are by far and away the worst TCG archetype that has ever existed. Even you look at a deck like Subterrors, which for a long time people thought that maybe Subterrors were kind of like UAs, like kind of unplayable because they're just bad. And then we get Subterror Guru, and the deck gets 2 top cut slots on a YCS, is topping regionals, and is sitting pretty good as one of the best control decks we have in the game right now. And then you look at UAs and it's literally terrible. The deck has 1 normal summonable monster, but it's not like Sky Striker. We're using Ray. They have a bunch of Link 1s, so it's really fluid going from Ray right into any monster you want in your extra deck. Whereas UA Midfielder is your only normal summonable monster. It is a war, so you can use Rhoda, but there's pretty much no other ways to search it. There's no searchers. You do have... they have 1 spell that specials any UA straight from the deck, but it's like banished on the end phase or something. Like, it's not good. It's so bad. It doesn't ban it. I think it negates their effects, but literally the deck is insanely inconsistent because your only monster is midfielder. You have to play a bunch of bricks in your deck because all the other monsters are high-level monsters that pretty much swap for different UAs on the field. They do have a cool mechanic, but I just think it was executed very, very poorly. It was like... It's obviously a sports-based archetype where they have like offensive positions in sports and then they have defensive positions in sports, and depending on the position, like you'd swap for an offensive one on your turn to do damage in the battle phase or whatever, remove a card from your opponent's field, whatever, and then as you're ending your turn you swap into a more defensive one. That way your opponent has to deal with that on their turn. Cool idea, executed so terribly. I mean, maybe if we were in Link era, we were looking at something where maybe they just had a bunch of Link 1s, and you could just go into a Link 1 that's a little more offensive, then go into a Link 2 that's defensive. And maybe we're looking at something. I think that may be the only way. They would need like maybe 1 or 2 more level 4 lower monsters so they can at least normal summon. Oh god. But they would need like 2 offensive Link 1s and 2 defensive Link 1s, because they can't be higher than a Link 1 because they don't put anything on the field other than 1 monster a turn. So they would need like 4 Link 1s, and that's dangerous if they're too powerful because there's really not much help anywhere else. It's just a shame because I'm a huge sports guy, even outside of Yu-Gi-Oh! And to see an archetype where I'm like, oh, it's based on sports, that's pretty cool. The designs are cool, everything's awesome. And then just like literally the only TCG exclusive archetype that's actually terrible garbage awfulness. So I don't even know what they could do. Like I said, I would think maybe like Link 1s to make the deck just fluid and then make some more low-level monsters like that, but that's all I got really for me. Alright, then for the second deck, I have Familiar Possessed. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, but John, they just got support. They just got Hita, the Fire Charmer. They just got that one other spell announced, but the spell is super meh. And Hita is an interesting card. It's definitely playable in Silent Man Great, especially if you're expecting a lot of mirror matches and stuff. But let's be honest, this deck was so rough. Like, I feel like the designs were like any Yu-Gi-Oh player's wet dream. Anybody who likes that kawaii look of the cute magician girls kind of look, they nailed it. All 6 of them are phenomenal. And while Area is not my personal favorite, I personally prefer Win and Lina. They all look good. You can't even argue. You can't even say any of them look bad. They all look fine. 1850, nice stat line. And then they have an entire paragraph. Every single one of them has an entire paragraph of text. But guess what? You don't use that effect one time ever. When I got back into the game over a year ago, probably like a year and 2 months ago, I built a familiar possessed deck. And guess how good that deck was? Terrible. The deck was literally like 10 familiar possessed monsters, the Gigabyte, the continuous trap card, and then I threw like Thunder King Ryo because my friend played Trickstars and I was just trying to spit in his face. Like, it was terrible, and literally the deck was just summon beat sticks and play some beatdown. That was literally all you did, all you could do, because they pretended like they have effects. They don't do anything. They might as well just be normal monsters. And it would take a lot of support. Obviously, we see Hita. We're probably expecting to get 5 more, 1 for each attribute, the new Link monsters, but you can't even make that in like one turn. I guess you could make it in one turn with like the Gigabyte, the familiars getting on field, but like they're not good. Like, Hita's not specifically good, so I'm not really sure what to really expect from this going forward. I don't really expect to see much, but I just thought there was so much potential here, and it was not really expanded on. Like, the deck is just so terrible. But yeah, I'd probably have to put Familiar Possessed here. Like, I don't even know, like, what could they use, because their main deck cards are so bad. Like, it's one thing if your main deck is solid, but you don't have an extra deck to, like, make use of it, because all you need is just add in, like, a powerful extra deck monster. But here, I guess you make them, like, Link 1s that are really good, but, like, that's ballsy. Like, you can't just fling out Link 1s to any deck, because then you're playing with fire. You can't make them generic, you can't do any of that stuff, so I don't even know what you would need to do. This deck would need a ton of support, really, so just tough to see such a beautiful archetype just be wasted in terms of, you know, actual usability. And then the last deck I have here is probably my personal favorite of the 3. Magnet Warriors, or Electromagnet Warriors if you want to be specific. I know what you're thinking. You're saying, like, but Magnet Warriors got these guys, and these guys are obviously way better than the normal monsters of old. But here's the problem, right? You all remember a certain deck that's still even relevant today called ABCs. Well, ABCs were released in a structure deck in October of 2016 as a Seto Kaiba structure deck, where it had a bunch of classic Kaiba cards, and then the newly revamped stuff was the 3 pieces, A, B, and C. A, Assault Core, B, Buster Drake, and C, Crush Wyvern. As well as, I don't know if Union Hanger was there, but if it wasn't, it came in a set after. But if it was there, then good, because then the archetype was playable. Meaning, I think it was. So I want to say Union Hanger, which is a phenomenal field spell, searches on summon, and it has other effects that help like push that engine. And then they're a phenomenal boss monster, one of the best boss monsters we've ever seen in the game. Has a quick effect to just target and banish any card on the field, and also can tag itself out to get all 3 pieces you banished to get it back. And then we look at Magnet Warriors. Guess what? They released 2 structured decks at the same exact time. One was for Kaiba, and one was for Yugi. Kaiba's had the ABCs, Yugi had the Electromagnet Warriors. Problem is, Electromagnet Warriors are terrible compared to ABCs. It's almost like, it's so brutal. Like, you think, like, you could read them and you were like, oh, like, maybe there's something there. But when you put them side to side, it's literally like, wow, this field spell is amazing. Like, phenomenal. And then you look at this field spell and like, wow, this field spell, these came out at the same time? Why? Why would they do this? It doesn't make sense. They just did this deck so dirty. This little archetype so dirty. When I feel like people probably maybe even prefer, I mean, obviously I think it's close because I know people do like the, you know, the ABCs and that whole XYZs and all of them. They thought they were cool, so what they do is revamp them. And people thought Magnet Warriors are cool. That's a quintessential little trio. Well, if you include Valkyrian, like a quadruplet set that Yugi always had, like in his decks, and they revamped them. They just made them so bad relative to ABCs. Like, and I think the path, I think out of the 3 decks, this deck easily has like the quickest path for Konami to fix him. Like, 1 set, 1 legendary duelist, you know, pack, throw 5 cards, 5 good cards. You need, like, they all special level 4s from deck. It has to be specifically a level 4 Magnet Warrior, and the main 3 are level 3s, so they only have Delta right now, so you'd have to make like 1 or 2 good level 4s that they could turbo out. You would need to change your level 8 boss monster, because your boss monster is terrible. It's in your main deck, whereas ABC's get to just pull out Dragon Buster whenever they want, whereas this deck like can brick on their boss monster, and you want to play more than one for grindier matches, but you're messing around with bricking a lot, which is terrible. So they would need like an extra deck boss monster, maybe a powerful Link 1 or 2, something, and then maybe like a trap card that helps them, because they do it like BBCs did get Union Scramble. So there's just like in 5 cards, if the 5 cards are done really well and they get like literally a searching field spell, literally give them almost exactly what Union Hanger is, but the equivalent for Magnet Warriors. And we're looking at something that can compete. I mean, ABCs to this day, they get 3rd place at the last YCS, and you know, Calvin Tahan is still riding them, like showing people that ABCs can win straight up. So like, that would make me ecstatic, because I remember the Magnet Warriors were some of my favorite cards to see. I was like, those things are so cool. I know they're not good, they're normal monsters, whatever, but I thought they were so cool design-wise, and I got so hyped when I found out they got revamped cards, revamped versions. But I don't know, I just feel like relative, considering they released at the exact same time. Like, they showed us that they could make them good if they wanted, and then they just said, nah, we only have room for ABCs. We don't have room for Magnet Warriors. Screw them. And maybe that was because they were worried about the current competitive scene, getting 2 decks like to just explode like that right out of structure decks at the exact same time. But it's been long enough. You could totally give support to the Magnet Warriors now. But anyway, guys, those are the 3 decks that I believe are the 3 decks that have been done the most dirty, have just been had the most potential, but did not expand on it enough. For me personally, obviously this is opinion based. These are decks that I have some kind of personal connection to it in some way, shape, or form. So obviously you probably have your own as well. Let me know down below what 3 archetypes you think are the 3 most done dirty archetypes in the game, and let me know what kind of support you'd like to see them get, like what you think they would need to be where you would want them to be in terms of playability, because I would love for these 3 decks to all be playable, but they're just not. So there you go, guys. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and subscribe for more videos from me in the future. I love doing these discussion videos. I know they don't always do as well as, you know, news videos and deck profiles and stuff, but these are the most fun because they're all speculation. It's not all, you know, oh, this is just straight up the news, or this is my deck profile. This is just straight speculation, and it lets me think a little bit, lets me get my brain out there a little more. But still, thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one. Peace.